Welcome back. We're here with Cloud9 versus Golden Guardians Academy as our third game of today's series. And hopping into this one, Cloud9 versus Golden Guardians. I want to take a look at Golden Guardians first and foremost. We've had a lot of 1-3 teams today that have been able to find wins. I know the first series doesn't quite count because they were both 1-3, but in the last series, EG was able to find a win. And Golden Guardians, we have some highlights up from them here, and maybe they're going to be the next team here to also find a second win for themselves today.
Well, Golden Guardians as a team has always been interesting when they use new talent. So not only is the main roster having to develop younger talent here, but the Academy one as well. So I think that they are trying to really understand how to develop youth. And so part of it depends on incredibly synergistic compositions. Very easy to focus your Nidalee Twisted Fates, Nidalee Renekton. You even have a Braum and a Vayne. So their drafting, I think, has been a positive thing in the wins that they had. So here against FlyQuest is an unfortunate game where it's still not able to really deal with the Aphelios, but you see that the tools they gave themselves are still there. The Renekton with a Taliyah or the Taliyah with a Twisted Fate, point and click. So I think their draft has been a bright spot. We just need to see them improve the play a little bit more because this team has a lot of potential.
It does have a lot of potential indeed, and I kind of want to see, for me in particular, I thought that last week the Ezreal Karma actually felt really out of place in comparison to the rest of the team composition. Felt like it was kind of just jammed in there, so if they're able to clean up just maybe their bottom lane draft, I would like to see how they can fit that, because their top side of the map looks great. They got the Nidalee Renekton, they're getting their mid laner Yunbi on some very comfortable, great control mages as well, and so it was looking good up until that final rotation to Ezreal Karma. But Cloud9, also another team that we have coming into the series, and they are looking very hot. They are 3-1 right now, and we were talking about Tarshan earlier in the day and what he's been able to do for his team.
Yeah, and this is, I think Schernfire has been very exciting for me, not because I think the play has been phenomenal, but his champion pool seems to be the widest out of any champion or any jungler in Academy. I believe his last game, he was also able to play some Nocturne and then just have a great showing out of him. So that kind of versatility really helps in Academy because you can draw a lot of bans and still help your team out. This was a game against 100 Thieves, but they are just able to disengage and have some pretty good shot calling. And just like we saw from the bottom lane today, you look at the champions that were played in this matchup. Icarus, Karma, Soraka versus Seraphine Lulu. Can we never pan to the bottom lane? This meta is clearly one that is not focused around the bottom lane. It involves carries in top or bottom that are disruptive bruisers, and then all the support you can get in the world. That's kind of what this game is turning into. And so that drafting approach could be really important in these series. We know that C9 can do it. We haven't really seen Golden Guardians do much of it, but if they saw how much money, how much healing the Seraphine Bard did today, I think you could just scratch whatever plan you prepped for and say, yeah, this seems strong enough that we don't even need that much prep for it.
Yeah, and if you theoretically pick up, if the Seraphine gets banned like we are probably expecting it to be banned, it's almost always banned on the red side. Senna can fit in the same role, Soraka can fit in the same role, Lulu, Janna. There's a lot of different supports, and it's almost impossible to ban out the entirety of the enchanters. So Cloud9 is a team that has been known to play these kind of weird compositions. They like to draft unusually. They like to experiment, they like to try out new things, and so they're one of the teams that I look forward to seeing how they draft, because we might see that double Moonstone. Even if it's boring to watch, it's always intriguing to see how they're adapting to the new meta and what their new approach to winning these games are.
So I think that right now we're gonna hear a lot more comments about the Moonstone being boring to watch, and I personally don't think that it's boring. I just think the difficulty that we're having as a viewer is that you don't really know what to expect from it. Like, randomly the heals happen. There's no visual cue for it. You're just like, oh, I guess now he's healed. Oh, now he's not. Now he's healed. Now he's not. And that kind of back and forth makes the team fights a lot more just unexpected. You don't know what the heck is going on because suddenly they're healing in times that you would not expect, right? Renekton is healing for 500 when he's not queuing, but we'll get to see what these teams draft in the bottom lane, since we're going to jump straight into Champ Select with Golden Guardians on the blue side.
Yeah, and we could talk about Moonstone all we want, but Champion Select has started off here, and we have to wait to see if either one of these teams are even going to pick a Moonstone style bot lane. We have top lane focus and jungle focus for bans already. Camille and Olaf taken off the board really quickly here by both of these academy teams.
The Darshan Camille being taken down right away. Tally has had some struggled games in Academy thus far. I think he'll warm up, but Darshan has been just having a great time on carries pretty much all last year and this one too. So getting that banned against him on the red side I think is fine, especially because C9 has no problems taking this champion in the first rotation, just blinding it right away for Darshan. They first picked it on blue, they'll do it again on red.
Yeah, and if you can put a carry into the hands of Darshan on the top side of the map, it is always going to be a lane that you can focus for Cloud9 Academy. We were mentioning before, Darshan having such a long legacy in the LCS. He is a player that is going to be hoping to guide his team, and with Shurnfire being your focus character to focus player to watch, that duo in the top lane could be absolutely disgusting with all the pressure they can apply. I'm surprised to see that the Kindred and Talia have been banned out here, targeting Shurnfire even harder here, not allowing him to get these kind of scaling, farming, long-range champions. And Seraphine was left open once again here, and Cloud9 might have been trying to get it for themselves, but Golden Guardians say it's our turn to pick up this support.
Okay, Seraphine happening again. Maybe I was mistaken. Maybe I don't want to see more Seraphine, but we'll have to anyway, so we'll see what she does. But I'm more interested now in Cloud9, so let's forget about the draft on the left and then go on the draft on the right. And that is Udyr, Twisted Fate. I like that combination. You know that they're going to use the last pick probably for top lane, but no matter what, you're going to usually look for side lanes that you can take advantage of. And Golden Guardians, taking a page out of the earlier book that we saw from EG, is picking their dive buddies. So now you have the Hecarim and Irelia. Last rotation, it was Hecarim and Renekton. Not very different this time around, but the Bard is denied. And we don't know if that was a very important pick for the EG side yet.
And it's a very weird adaptation to the draft this time around that I'm seeing from Golden Guardians. The Renekton was up and available if they wanted to choose it. Gragas is going to be banned out by Cloud9 as well here. I'm not I guess they're expecting that Irelia is going to be flexed into mid lane. Yunbi might be an Irelia player here, so it can be flexed into either role. Seraphine also theoretically I've seen mid lane before as well. It's most likely going to go towards the bottom side just because that's where it's most commonly placed. Renekton finally will be taken off the table here by Golden Guardians, so not wanting to give away that top lane power pick, seeing as how red side will get first rotation on their choice of champion once they come out of the second ban phase here.
So Renekton is pretty dangerous into the Irelia. I mean, Irelia obviously loves to lane and do all sorts of crazy things one-on-one, but Renekton with Udyr, Renekton with TF, just crazy easy to lock her down. So making sure that there is no more tools available. And we don't know what this Irelia is up to just yet. Same thing with Cloud9. So they're going to have to draft accordingly. And here they'll take their AD and then hopefully save a last pick to deal with wherever the Irelia wants to go for. We mentioned that Ezreal last draft didn't seem like it fit the Golden Guardians composition, but here you have a highly mobile champion that can survive the dive of Hecarim and the Irelia. So there is a lot of value in the Ezreal right now if the game is not going to be about bottom lane, right? If you're thinking that bot lane is just going to be a farm fest, well, heck, now you've got a Ezreal that's farmed up, that was able to get out of lane just fine, and he's going to be up against a very heavy dive composition. This is just so much freaking crowd control. Oh my gosh, they are going to delete whoever gets hit by the Nautilus ultimate.
Yeah, if you want a way to get onto King in this Ezreal, Nautilus Ultimate is the point-and-click CC you are looking for. It is going to track him down not only to wherever he decides to Arcane Shift and Flash to, but it's going to follow him through the entire team of Cloud9 if there's anybody standing in their way. So it's going to provide even more CC and utility for Golden Guardians here. And I personally think that it's an okay pick. With the Seraphine being picked up in the bottom lane, they're not going to be running double Moonstone, but I actually really hate the Ezreal pick. I'm not gonna lie. Gangplank, I think, is a great pick here for Cloud9s and what they're looking to do. But after what we saw last game, Ezreal is not the AD carry I'm looking for. He just kind of lacks in damage when you're playing into this Moonstone Seraphine in the bottom line. You're gonna have double Conqueror on Hecarim and Aurelia, and then the sustain. And so, like, yes, Ezreal can survive versus Kennen, Hecarim, Aurelia on the dive potentially if he's getting peeled, but how do you kill Golden Guardians in return? Because he's never been known for being the best DPS AD carry in the game.
Well, if they can get ahead with the Twisted Fate Udyr, that's a way to do it. I think this is a strong point-and-click duo. We know the power of point-and-click CCs already with the Leona-Talia combo that's been making rounds worldwide. We'll see, though. Last we saw Ezreal was in the hands of Prismal. I think King is a little bit better as an Ezreal player, so maybe he'll have a really good showing, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to this. We're going to go load into the Rift and see if Golden Guardians can dispatch the Cloud9 draft here. And I got to say, Icarus, in the last few times I've cast a Golden Guardians Academy game, I've been fairly critical of their draft. I never really found that their drafts made a lot of sense, that there wasn't any high synergies. Not at all today. This, I love what I'm seeing out of them. Not only is it very relevant to the meta with what we just saw, I think it plays to the strengths of a lot of champions. Everything synergizes together. I love this. I want to see them go more with this direction because other teams are finding wins, and I think they will find them too.
Yeah, and I love these kind of team fight compositions. Hopefully Golden Guardians is actually going to be able to team fight. We've had a couple of slow games today so far, so you know, I know last week Kangas and Joshi were hoping for some slower games so that they could talk about macro, but I'm hoping for some team fights I'm going to be able to showcast in this series today. Hopefully the Aurelia and Hecarim are going to be able to make that happen as a standard 5 points across the board for both of these teams here. Darshan maybe stepping forward for a little bit of a cheesy barrel if he's able to find one here, but outside of that, nothing really big happening.
He wants a face check. Remember the lock-in finals where Alfari just won the game from a level 1? Yeah, that's what he's going for. He just wants to run down Tally. If he hits him with the sword, yeah, he's going to keep going. Tally is so over. It's over, man. This lane is over.
Darshan! Why would you do this to Tally? He gets one grass proc. He can just keep going here because that's another grass proc. He's healing so much here. Tally trying to use the range. Corrupting Pot is going to be popped here.
Wait, what?
Rosethorn was on the top side of the map, though. He started on his blue buff, so Darshan doesn't get a full commit to that. No summoner spells used at the end of the day.
Oh, and the Isle gave him 3 Bard heals. Oh my god.
That's what those were. Lane. I thought he started barrel.
Oh, Tally, you have him base, my dude. You need to get out of here. And TP back. Oh, man. He started Blade as well. He was thinking he'd be able to play this lane aggressively, and boy, he wakes up to a harsh reality that this lane is so over.
Yeah, that is worst case scenario for a Kennen here. You don't get to abuse your early range advantage. You don't get a pass go. You do not get to collect the extra CS and farm in this lane for the extra $200. So it is going to be Tally on the back foot, already down CS, has to back early here and use that teleport. Finally, after catching that first wave, didn't even hit level 2 yet, and now Darshan with level 2, freezing this wave towards that middle side of the lane. What is Tally going to be able to do?
Oh, die? Lose health? Like, oh man. Luckily, the wave is pushing back against him with the cannon minion, so he'll be able to catch all that, but this cannon is never getting off the ground anymore, and you don't expect to see that because it's a very solo queue move out of GP, but it works really well, and here they cut Isles, but he's got heals, and he is going to be just fine here.
He's able to make it out alive, but I'm pretty sure Chime just walked up slowly and auto-attacked him there in order to get that whole play to start, and suddenly Prismal has the free follow-up with the E, and then, you know, it's just continuous CC, continuous damage coming out there. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Yunbi forcing the flash out of copy. TF not respecting the dash engage from this early game Aurelia, so he's going to have to back here. Does not have the teleport available unless he decides to use his keystone for it, but it will mean a bit of a trade advantage and a summoner spell for the mid lane.
That was a very good flash out of Copy. Normally, we have been criticizing him because of issues in the laning phase, but recognizing there that one more auto from Yunbi would have killed them. Now, the auto wouldn't have actually finished him off, but Yunbi would have been able to then flash forward, buffer his auto attack, and kill Copy through his own flash afterwards. So not giving Yunbi the opportunity for that should help him out a lot in lane so that he can stay even here and stay even with levels so that he can get level 6 at the same time and influence the rest of the map.
Yeah, and it's really big that Copy doesn't go down there because Cloud9, they don't want to take these 1v1s in their lanes. Kennen versus Gangplank is going well, but hold on, that's going to be Chime. Top side of the map, he finds a hook, Copy, the flash is down, and you know, he got it off the first time, but the second time is not going to be able to escape it. We were just giving him all the credit, but Yunbi is going to be able to pick up first blood for Golden Guardians there.
That pathing, you hate to see it. He could have easily gotten out if he followed Schernfire. You see how Schernfire routed back into his jungle? I don't know what Copy was thinking about, maybe warding the left side of his lane, but a ward over the wall or something else would have been safer. You know that Golden Guardians wants to punish members who do not have flash, and Copy is the only one that does not.
Yeah, great collapse there by the Golden Guardians, taking immediate advantage of the missing Summoner's spell there for the Cloud9. And now we were just mentioning, Tally, every time we look back up here, it's just looking worse. Flash forward, that's going to be the burn. That's going to be the parlay, and Darshan. Oh, no. It just keeps getting worse. It honestly just keeps getting worse.
I told you, this lane was so over. You do not come back when you lose level 1 like that. In fact, Gangplank doing that to even champions like Renekton wins the lane. You just lose right away from such a brutal level 1, and there's no coming back for this lane. So Golden Guardians needs to find an avenue into this game that isn't through top. Tough thing is, it is not mid lane, so we're gonna see what happens. Because Schernfire is like, oh, there's no one in this bush, this is fine. But then Copy's like, ooh, maybe Schernfire check, am I fine? No, he is not in. Another thing that he might have been able to use to suspect that there was danger nearby was that his own support was based and that Seraphine was crashed into the turret with Nautilus MIA. And when that happens, you can kind of assume that, well, since my support isn't there, theirs isn't there either, they're probably looking for plays. This is a big roaming meta, and with Nautilus and Bard, they're going to find their way here. Here's Copy and Yunbi, but they don't have enough damage to take down Aurelia, so she is not scared.
Yeah, Isle's trying to look for a roam of his own here, but unfortunately he's not going to find any kind of engage onto Yunbi. Now it is a massive wave for this Aurelia. She's going to try and freeze just out of turret range here. Twisted Fate hitting level 6, might be looking for that Destiny Gate in order to help out one of his side lanes, but has not found an opportunity. There is no Kennen viewed on the map. They don't know where the enemy bot lane is because they're busy trying to find this Udyr deep inside of his jungle. Look where Prismal and Chime are. Oh, Copy. Oh, no. Kennen comes over as well. It's the hook. It's the whole team showing up. 5-man mid. And there's nothing you can do.
Well, you can hug your turret, and you can wait for the wave to crash, but you'd still die. You would still 100% die, give up the kill. So, yeah, to prevent the death, there's really no way around it. They'll only lose some plates. The cannon in the mid lane that Yunbi was not able to last hit, but they are punishing this lane because there's nowhere else to go. We have such a great setup from the last match to know that you just don't go to the Seraphine Nautilus lane. They're not meant to be the laners. They're meant to be team fighters afterwards. Here's another attempt from C9. Maybe trying to dive Tally, who does not have ultimate, but won't be slowed down. And they'll just flash on him and kill him.
Cannon Barrage is committed to this one. Tally with no flash, like you mentioned, goes down there. Udyr is able to find that one, give it over to Darshan with a flash of his own. Now Rosethorn and Yunbi showing up on the top side of the map. They might try to continue this one. Onslaught of Shadows is used in order to put Schernfire back. This Udyr has no mana. That's going to be the ultimate committed by Yunbi. He's going to be able to get onto Darshan here. Another stun is going to be another dash reset. A couple more auto attacks. He's trying to survive this one as long as possible. But the oranges, they keep Darshan alive. Finally, the shutdown goes over as Rosethorn is able to find that one. But Copy has made his way to the top side of the map. He gets his revenge, and now it is going to be 2 kills for the price of Darshan on the top side. Cloud9 with the counter engage.
Yunbi is so greedy. They could have just killed the Udyr and gotten out. Instead, he has all the gold in his sights. He goes for the Twisted Fate with the ultimate instead. Is not able to kill him, not able to kill Udyr, and so the greed means that they get nothing in return, and a huge move out of Cloud9 now, who not only get to dive into the top side, continues to play through their strong lane, but also deflected Golden Guardians' counter punch.
And it was a great collapse there by the side of Cloud9 here. They see this dive going on. Tally, unfortunately, does go down, so I suppose it is a 2-for-2 at the end of the day because, or it's a 3-for-1 at the end of the day because they were only ever able to pick up Darshan and Yunbi and Rosethorn, as you were saying. That ultimate, it goes towards Darshan when he could have just picked up Fire. Copy comes up as well. Didn't even have to use the ultimate for this one. And Aurelia, sure, they pick up a shutdown onto Darshan, but it's not going to mean that Tally's in any less of a bad predicament here. It's still Kennen that's far behind. It's still him that has to suffer this laning phase. And so, at the end of the day, 3 kills for the price of just 1, and Cloud9 have given themselves a 2,000 gold lead.
Did not think that Copy would make it back up to the top lane, and so just a case of, you know that Twisted Fate loves to just help his team out, and you took a long time on that play, so you usually just have to think, well, he's either in the other side of the map making a crossplay or running up here as fast as he can to answer it. So those kinds of thinkings are usually very difficult to fit in the middle of you watching a play and thinking about how you're going to play out the counter game. So I can totally understand it. It's just, to level up your gameplay, you have to be constantly thinking about what the enemy's trying to do, even when you're going for your own play.
Yeah, and with all this topside pressure that Cloud9 has been able to accrue for themselves, they are going to be able to pick up a Rift Herald at 10.5 minutes, so they should have this one available to either break platings or break first brick in this game. Darshan most likely will be the recipient of that one. Tally gets a good trade back on the Darshan there, taking a turret shot and a little bit too much damage walking up, but he will have corrupting potions, he will have his oranges if anything, if worst case comes. So he should be able to sustain through it. Now what I'm looking towards is this Drake on the bottom side of the map. 10 seconds out, it will be a Wind Dragon spawning, and already Golden Guardians are trying to get the inside track.
Okay, so they are going to have the Gangplank ultimate if they really want to take this, but this is not a team fighting composition at all. They'll probably get wiped if they were to try this, so I think they'll concede it wisely and then just look for something else to do on the map. It doesn't look like there's a gank immediately available, so they'll just take a reset. Jungler will base and try to go back to power farm.
I like to see them not overreaching for the objectives there. There was already 4 members with ward coverage, inside track, and all to the river there, and you do not want to walk into a Seraphine and Nautilus. And one of the issues that I guess you can give Cloud9 here with their draft is, how do they force engages? They don't have the Gragas that we saw with this Udyr in the last game, and so they don't have a way to be able to completely force these team fights. Instead, they kind of rely on gold cards and Bard in order to look for picks, and so it's a little bit more telegraphed out of the hands of Cloud9 here. Rift Herald will be dropped in the mid lane for a couple of platings. Fire just trying to put some pressure onto the mid lane. Yunbi will let it crash, and that's about all they're going to get.
You do rely on gold cards, Udyr, and maybe even Bard to an extent, but there's another thing that a lot of teams in LPL really count on to make these kinds of compositions work, and that's just outplaying, literally. When you hear their calls, it's a matter of like, well, our comp sucks, they're stronger, but can we outplay it? And then they're like, oh, yes, we can outplay it, right? You can outplay it. And so when you're looking at Golden Guardians going for how do you outplay them, well, the first thing that I think of is they have multiple members that are trying to dive. If you can kite back and disengage from the dive, isolate a few members, then you can get yourself a better fight on equal terms. Here is a 4-man against Darshan, but look at how wise he was to back off just a little bit earlier. If he stayed a bit longer, he was certainly dead even with his flash, but sniffed it out right away because his team was in the bot side. There was nobody else on Golden Guardians to defend, and the only possible place that Golden Guardians could be is in his own lane. So he backs off, doesn't bother using his or saving the ultimate or anything but the wave clear, and will be very happy with how this laning phase has went.
I'm pretty sure he got the cannon creep there, so that's kind of the cherry on top, using the ultimate to clear, and you get the cannon when it's focused by turrets. So chef's kiss the Darshan there. Feels great. He was also able to get the teleport out of Yunbi there. So Summoner Spell out of the mid laner from Golden Guardians with nothing to show for it besides a couple of platings on the top side, but weren't even able to pick up a kill. Meanwhile, Copy does have that ultimate available, Ghost and Ignite as well. Now that Yunbi has to try and back here, it is going to be Cloud9's turn to try and maybe look for a cross-map play. Nobody is shown on the map though, so not exactly sure where they can go with it. Instead, we're going to see just some funky lanes being dispersed here from both of these teams.
Yet these funky lanes, I think, are going to benefit Golden Guardians, not because of Tally, but because of Yunbi. He's very strong. He's the strongest member on his squad, and now has the Blade of the Ruined King. So he's going to have a strong dueling power, strong 1v1 potential. Darshan cannot fight him, and neither can Copy. So there's a really strong top lane. He'll just get some spells out. Wait, hook miss? I think he's still fine, though.
Destiny committed by Copy there, and Rosethorn has to use the entire Onslaught of Shadows in order to disengage, getting chunked out by King. This is going to be the mid turret going down. Surenfire might be looking for a way into the backside of this fight, but no, will back off. That's going to be the Arcane Barrage, also used in Prismal, dropping down extremely low, but this entire time, Yunbi with no teleport on the top side of the map is going to be able to pick up that top lane outer turret, but they lost their mid lane outer turret for that play.
It's a trade, and I mean, you're never thrilled to trade your mid lane turret for a side lane, but at least you get something, and it shows you that Cloud9 is not too confident about dealing with Yunbi on the side lanes. If they want to deal with him, I think a strong way to go about it would be to have Twisted Fate shadow wherever he's going for. So you don't have TF matching Aurelia, you just have somebody else. It can be Udyr, it can be Gangplank, it could even be the Ezreal, but you're just trying to use the TF to surprise her and then kill her in a 2-on-1. So that would be a way that Cloud9 can start to accelerate the pace and punish what Golden Guardians is trying to use as a strength.
Yeah, it's very difficult to dive onto this Aurelia here. Nobody can really 1v1 her at this point, but Twisted Fate has always been known as that global pressure. I'm looking at this side for the ultimate Lance. He finds it. The flashy play coming in. Copy is going to get CC trained into next week, and he goes down 1-3 for the Twisted Fate. He is just getting ganged up on no matter what side of the map he shows to.
What did I say? Golden Guardians is just playing to Yunbi. There is no one else to play around on this team. Literally. So Cloud9 needs to know wherever Aurelia is, you need to send backup, or you need to just ward and imagine that you're going to get ganked. There is no place else for Golden Guardians to strike. I'm surprised Copy died for that, but more than that, I am really impressed with Yunbi's flash forward there, knowing that Copy was going to flash away, predicts it and guarantees the kill, denies some more CS, and it might also be a bot tier 1.
Yeah, and you love to see those kind of flashy plays. The confidence coming out from Yunbi to be able to not only understand what's probably going to happen, but predict it correctly. Now it is Golden Guardians with that pressure on the bottom side of the map. They will be able to pick up the first Mountain Drake of this Mountain Soul in the game. Tally having to use the ultimate just to prevent getting dived, clearing out that wave. And that is such a tragic situation for Kennen to have to use the Slicing Maelstrom just to make sure that he can CS underneath his second tier turret.
Well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and Kennen is just begging for a good team fight because the lane is over, right? All he needs is to find a good flank in the future, and I think you can do that, right? Kennen's flanking abilities are really good, especially against champions that don't have that ton of mobility. So Twisted Fates, Deers, even a Gangplank can really get caught in the mix here. So as long as Tally has that, all the sins of his earlier laning phase will be atoned for.
Yeah, and if he gets that flank, like you mentioned, it is going to be massive because Slicing Maelstrom, Onslaught of Shadows, even the Vanguard's Edge coming in from Yunbi, all of these AoE, like, it's just such a disgusting team fight coming in by Golden Guardians here, and I'm curious to see where Cloud9 are going to be able to push their team fight advantages because they do have Darshan working for them. But that's about it. You know, King has been scaling up because the bottom lane for Golden Guardians hasn't been fighting them this entire game. Surenfire has a kill, but he's still an Udyr. He still has to just run very directly at you in order to force these fights, and Copy has been getting killed all game. So it's really just Darshan that we're looking at for the side of Cloud9 to be able to do the damage, to be able to kill anyone on Golden Guardians. As now all of Golden Guardians gathering around this mid lane, I need Cloud9 to back up and give this one over.
No wave clear here. With Twisted Fate being in the top lane, the Ezreal has a hard time. He popped the ultimate to try to do something there, but not much. You say that it is going to be Darshan. I do think, though, that King can have a say in this game, although we need to see if the poke really sticks through the healing. That was your concern in the draft, and I was thinking that King would be able to do it. He has a bounty. He's been farming like a beast. We need to really see, though, is the Ezreal superior to Seraphine? Everybody's playing Seraphine. Not a lot of people are playing Ezreal. Tally is stunned.
Fire so fast. My man is going at Mach 10 over here. He finds his way onto Tally and forces to flash out of this cannon. Now they're trying to focus down this bottom lane second tier turret. Will not get it though. His Prismal shows up and clears out that wave. And I kind of want to run off of that point. Ezreal does a great job of burst damage that you were saying there, Crumbs. And he's almost completed his entire mana immune into the Mirror Mana. So once he has that completed, he will be able to do so much extra work, and that would be really their point to try and take a fight. But Surenfire once again finding an engage onto Chime here. That's going to be the Arcane Barrage. Is not going to be able to quite pick up the Nautilus, but the follow-up will. Huge Seraphine ult in order to buy some time, and Darshan has used the Cannon Barrage in order to try and continue that fight, but it's just going to be the disengage from Golden Guardians there. They only find Chime on this Nautilus by the side of Cloud9 and nothing else really to follow.
Golden Guardians does not have the Aurelia at the start of the fight, so that's why Cloud9 is like, yeah, take the fight. Doesn't matter. We are dealing with the weakest versions of Golden Guardians without Yunbi, so they lose him, and now Surenfire does have Flash, though, so he can survive this, but is he gonna get out? Yeah, just flashes and has Arcane thing, or Face Rush. All the movement speed he could want, he's got it.
All the movement speed in the book there for Surenfire, and it feels really bad to be playing Udi or not have Flash, because that's half of his engage potential is the Flash Bear Stun. But you know, another 5 minutes before he's going to be able to pull that one off. Dragon though will be spawning in about 1:15 here, and we do have 2-1 in Drake so far. Golden Guardians looking to try and make their way towards that Mountain Soul, because on top of the sustain that they already have in this Aurelia Hecarim Seraphine combo, 8 extra shield and increased resistances would make it just that much more disgusting.
It really would. The healing is going to get a ton of value through those shields, and here we go though. But oh man, Golden Guardians does not have Aurelia again, doesn't have teleport. She's grabbing blue, but we'll be going to top side. It's actually going for the Gromp. You see that on the minimap. That does really hurt Golden Guardians' chances of defending this dragon and setting up for the third. She is pathing down now, so they can still find a way to contest the vision. It's just going to be a lot tougher since now Cloud9 has set themselves in the river and is clearing out all the work they've done earlier.
And something I want to point out, we've been talking a lot about Yunbi, but hold on, that is Chime. He's looking for the hook. The engage coming out by Golden Guardians. That's going to be the onslaught. Shout out to the backside. They're trying to kill Copy. He's dropped down extremely low, but Yunbi is still alive, but he is not for long. That's the shutdown. Surenfire is able to find that one. King, though, the AD carry that we've been talking about for Cloud9 is just one get shut down. Tally will find that one. It is a back and forth fight everywhere. Darshan is not going to be able to participate in this one. Finally, the Cannon Barrage is coming in. He's making his way over, but he is getting collapsed on by 3 members of Golden Guardians. Copy could not get a whole lot done there, but he does get the back off, and now he'll be running back down towards this dragon. It has not been started up now. Cloud9 looking to finish this one off. They do have the Destiny Endgate available if Copy needs to rush over towards this objective, and Golden Guardians without Yunbi are going to back off and give this one up.
What a mess of a fight, but I love to see it. I mean, we hadn't seen fights in the last few games, so I'm happy to see whatever we can get here. And it starts off with Chime engaging on the mid lane because he sees King and Copy, 2 members that can be picked off. There goes Surenfire, and you're like, okay, yeah, we can engage on the Twisted Fate. Great Seraphine ultimate. He gets burst down, but survives with the stopwatch. And then watch what it takes for Golden Guardians. Flashing in. Watch the auto. Bam! Half a second. Barely survives. The initial engage did take down the Aurelia, but now Darshan is just so freaking fed with the red buff that he gets after the cannon kill, has the ultimate, and then the wise move there to know that he can flash forward and still walk out. I thought he was dead on that mission, but saves the day and gets the dragon for Cloud9.
Yeah, that will be the Mountain Drake picked up by Cloud9 there while we were going over that replay, and copy, barely living with a sliver of health there. And before we got oh so rudely interrupted by these teams making that team fight, I had a point to make. And we've been talking about Yunbi a lot this game and how scary he is on Irelia and how Golden Guardians are playing around him so expertly. But there is a hefty gold lead for Cloud9, and it just feels like Irelia is the one point of focus for Golden Guardians, and that's why we're seeing so much attention around him. But if you look towards the top side, towards the jungle, towards the AD carry, all these roles have so much gold in their pockets from the CS differentials that they've created for themselves.
I mean, you have CS advantages everywhere, actually, because Ezreal wins, right? Gangplank wins, but Gangplank also has gold in his passive for getting those CS kills, and so does Twisted Fate. So Twisted Fate CS is actually pretty much on par with Irelia, so no one is behind. They are all ahead in gold acquired from minions, and here is Darshan entirely unmatched, which is part of the problem. Only Yunbi can match, and even now, I suspect he can't. He's gone with the Ravenous Hydra to be able to stay alive in these fights, and so they'll just ignore him and send Kennen down to another one-way trip.
One-way trip to the gray screen is what that is. That's going to be a Seraphine ult by the Golden Guardians. So they're trying to engage on that one. A great flick coming in from Yunbi. A lot of Zanya's forced out here in order to try and buy some time. Or that is actually going to be the Tempered Fate that was used by Bart. Bought so much time for Cloud9 Academy there. The Tempered Fate coming in and will keep them alive, stalling out that Irelia ultimate. And now Darshan on the bottom side of the map still going to be able to pick up that inhibitor. Completely unanswered by Tally there. Cannot fight this Gangplank just quite yet. Now, this Golden Guardians panicking. They know they are behind here. The Gangplank ultimate is still up and available, but they have started up this Baron.
He can steal.
They can try and steal for sure here. Schernfire backside of that pit. They're still going. They don't want to give this one up. Cannon Barrage has been committed now that is under half health, and finally they have to back away from this Baron. Golden Guardians committed so much time to the big purple worm and get nothing for it off of one ultimate from Gangplank.
It was a mistake. It was a mistake to try the Baron because you don't have DPS. That's the big problem. If you had a standard control major and AD, yeah, this is a fine play. But just like last game, when you're running this Moonstone combination, you need to prioritize team fights over these objectives. And so Cloud9's like, great, do the objective. We know you're bluffing. We know you're not actually interested in bursting this down because you can't. So stick around as long as we want. We'll threaten the dive. We'll threaten the steal as well. And so they have to back off on their own volition because they were never committed to finishing that objective.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they lost the inhibitor on top of everything else there. They didn't get the Baron, they didn't get the team fight, and then they lose a bot lane inhibitor, so Darshan is now free to continue to pressure that one, and even threaten to end the game. His teleport will be up and available, so I would like to see Cloud9 start pressuring Baron themselves here. You have the opposite side of the map being constantly pushed in. If you have Darshan down there, he has the Cannon Barrage, he has the teleport available, and you know, if you don't answer this Gangplank, he ends the game. But if you don't answer the Baron, Cloud9 ends the game. It's a very tough situation here for Golden Guardians. Dragon is going to be spawning in about 45 seconds, though. And we see Cloud9 not wanting to give that one over for free. They say, you know what, we got the inhibitor for a couple of minutes here, so we have time to pick up a different neutral objective. Not quite force the Baron just yet.
Okay, well, no Baron force, but still another repeat of what we saw in the engage in the mid lane. This is now a 4v4 though, and Gangplank can join before the Kennen. Even though both have CP, Gangplank ultimate is a little bit faster at joining these fights, and he is walking as well. Here we go. I think Cloud9 is committing. They sense that they are strong enough. They're gonna run down Golden Guardians members. Here goes Schernfire to do it.
How are they going to start this fight? The mid wave has been split on opposite sides. Flash forward from Chime, though. He's going to be able to try and find a hook onto the AD carry. He will follow up. Isles dropping down extremely low, and is now the Kennen is able to find into this one. Isles goes down as the first member of this team fight, but Schernfire also dropping down extremely low. Tally flashes over, will try and continue, but Yunbi, the carry for Golden Guardians, is dead. He tried to take out the backline of Cloud9 and could not do it. Now it is the rest of Golden Guardians backing away, licking their wounds as Schernfire, the Udyr, I don't know where he went, but he got out, and that's for sure. He is still alive and will be able to run over towards this dragon. A sliver of help for the jungler on Cloud9 Academy, but at the end of the day, it is a 1-for-1. Cloud9 Academy, though, will find the Drake.
Like a good jungler, Schernfars kept his eyes on the prize. The dragon was what they were fighting for in the first place. That's why the battle even begun in the mid lane. So taking it after as soon as possible is a great move there. And that fight was split on two fronts, and the one that really hurt Golden Guardians was Yunbi. He was not able to make it into the fight because Darshan had a really good barrel and ultimate chain on the right-hand side while Golden Guardians was eliminating Isle and Schernfire. They focused the support, the primary CCs, and the jungler, but then the carries are all left alive, and so Yunbi's thinking, can I 1v3? Should I 1v3? Yeah, yeah, I should. I'm Aurelia. He tries. He doesn't make it.
I mean, I would love to see Yunbi get away with the 1v3 if he completed a mythic item by this point, but we're 29 minutes into this one, and he's still just sitting on the Sheen with the Sterak's gauge. But hold on, another fight coming out here. Chime trying to engage on the Darshan. They're trying to pick off this Gangplank. That is going to be Rostorm going forward. He does not use the Onslaught of Shadows there, and instead Gangplank forced to just flash away from that one. Takes the Bard portal to safety, and now Golden Guardians, they are rotating over towards the Baron. They want to try and pick up this buff for themselves off of that disengage. They're starting up fairly early here. Schernfire is in the area, so are they going to be able to see this one out? He comes speeding up River. He knows, he sees, the vision is there. They see it's been started up. Copy also using the Destiny. They've showed up here. Cloud9, they do not want to give this one over for free, and Golden Guardians are still committed to this one. The Cannon Barrage is available for whenever this Baron starts getting low. Gameplay still on the bottom side of the map. Keep an eye on Darshan. The Cannon Barrage has been committed. The Baron, 2,000 health, engage onto King, and he's going to be going over the wall, keep himself alive. Rostorm is out of the pit, and he's down extremely low, but Yunbi is too. Schernfire is able to find that one. King is dead. Golden Guardians, you didn't commit to anything, and Darshan is still in the base. Yunbi is still alive. Congratulations. They're going to be able to finish off Cloud9 here for the team fight, but take a look at Darshan. Oh no, tragedy strikes. Inhibitor saves the lives by the skin of their teeth there for Golden Guardians there. Prismal trying to kite Schernfire out. He is most likely to go down, especially with that Temper Fate being committed, but it's just a disaster across the board.
All right, I want to see. There it is. Finally takes down Primal, but here's our trying to end the game. Can he 1v2? He can 1v2 them.
Can he? Is he going to be able to finish this one? He's just focusing down the troops. Is he actually going to be able to pull off the X-Pack game? There's no way. Okay. Nautilus is finally able to pick up the shutdown there. Chime gets the kill onto Darshan, but he had me worried for a second.
Okay, Golden Guardians uses the Baron to bait Cloud9 into a fight, but they're losing their whole base while they're going forward. This is why it's like the Baron is not a good idea. You cannot finish it. And when they pulled off, it was actually ironically low enough to be finished. They pulled off at around 1200 HP, thinking that the Bard was going to portal the Udyr in and go for the steal. So despite Schernfire not having flash, they had to respect that Isles would be able to turn on him. And this is a situation, Icarus, where I feel like the disadvantage that Golden Guardians was in meant that they should have finished and try to go for the 50-50. I think that is one of those moments where you just say, if we get this, we can actually stall the game out and we can claw back. If we don't, we're going to lose right away. Like, we're not going to be able to stop the Darshan split push. So let's just commit for it, go for the 50-50, try to outplay it. And sometimes you just need your members to go for that. And frankly, that kind of mindset has shifted the evolution of smiting against each other. So here it is. The portal is still available. That's why they're not finishing it. It's still up. So they're like, well, we don't have to do this. And by the time they realize that they need to fight, they've already lost so much health and resistances that they're so squishy. C9 can easily dispatch it.
Yeah, it's just a real shame there that they got the Baron down so low, because that's one of those issues we see with the Seraphine bot lane. You don't have the DPS to be able to finish off this big purple worm that quick. So it's difficult to commit that much time to completing the Baron. As we come back into this one, Cloud9 has started the Baron up themselves, and with that bot lane inhibitor, nobody is there. They've got all the ward coverage before, and they just pick up this Baron for free in the hands of Cloud9, and that could mean a death sentence for Golden Guardians. They've been spending the past 5-10 minutes trying to sneak away this Baron to little success, and meanwhile Cloud9 does it on their first attempt.
It is certainly a death sentence. If you've ever played against Twisted Fate, you know that TF with an open Nexus against you is an almost undefendable position, because you commit to any fight and then he just leaves and TPs to your base and ends the game. So you're stuck in a catch-22 in that anywhere you go, Twisted Fate responds with, I'm in your base. So your defense is, oh, I'll just stay in my base. Yeah, that's exactly the problem. You have
and
to
then you
stay
lose
in
3
your base.
inhibitors, and
Yes.
it's Baron buff from there, and it's just a disaster. There's not a whole lot that Golden Guardians can do here. It feels like at this point it's waiting for the last fight into the end to happen here, as Golden Guardians have gathered around this top side of the map. They might be looking for a pick onto Darshan. Meanwhile, Dragon has been started by Cloud9 as
Oh,
onto the map.
they're porting. It's over.
It's porting. TF is in the base. You called it out perfectly, Crumbs. Sure, you picked up Darshan here, but that's going to be a teleport coming out by King. That is going to be Copy. That is committed the teleport. King is already on the inhibitor. So is Copy. Tempered Fate used to stall out Youngby, and it is the end of the game for Cloud9. You called it right on the mark, Crumbs, there. It's just, they backdoored. They used the teleports with an open inhibitor and open nexus.
I don't know, but that's just how the games play out. When you have these kinds of champions, it's the moves that they always make. They've been moves that have been inside the game since TF has been in it, which has been since day one. That's what happens when you get a Twisted Fate. They had the Bard and the teleports to help out as well. So well played by them, recognizing, hey, we can just bait Darshan out here and win the game. So I like the focus out of Cloud9 to say that we never needed a team fight. We actually could just split push and win that way. And they had that advantage since level 1. I know that Surenfire had a phenomenal game. I don't think he died. He was incredible. Lots of CS, lots of objectives. But the pressure that was earned from Darshan's level 1, I think was what really set up everybody else on Cloud9.
Yeah, and I think that, like you said, Darshan putting in so much work for his team there. He opened up the inhibitor, opened up the nexus by himself while the rest of his team was creating pressure around the Baron and preventing Golden Guardians from completing that Baron with their really slow Baron taking composition. So that level 1 leading into just his macro decisions later in the game was great. And don't get me wrong, Golden Guardians also, we've had a lot of back and forth games today, and Golden Guardians, I thought they were going to be able to be another 1-3 team that can pull out a win, but this time around, unfortunately, they weren't able to do it. Yunbi showed up huge, though. His Aurelia putting in so much work in the early to mid game, and they were really playing around their win conditions for the first 15 minutes there.
I would have liked to see them play around Yunbi a bit more, just because there was nobody else to play around. But when they did, it looked really good. So do more of that, and you can always go back to the replay and focus on the positive plays that actually were gaining advantages and remind yourself of those. So the one that really sticks out in my head is the roam to the mid lane after the flash was down, where they caught him, the 5-man roam as well to the mid lane, and then the flash bottom with the Hecarim and the Nautilus. Those were great moves. A few more of those and Yunbi could have been the monster to 1v3.
A couple more kills into Yunbi's hands and maybe another completed item, and he would have been able to take Darshan on in the side lane. And then what do you have for Cloud9 Academy? But ladies and gentlemen, as we get set up and ready for an interview in just a couple of minutes here, we thank you for tuning in with us. We're going to go over to a quick short delay as we get set up for that interview, and we'll be right back. We're back, ladies and gentlemen, as we're hopping into an interview with the successful top laner on Cloud9, Darshan, the ex-LCS pro, if Crumbs wants to call me out on that one. Again, is going to be joining us today. And Darshan, how are you doing after that victorious game? You were a menace in the side lanes.
Good. It feels nice to win. It's been a while since I've backdoored some Nexus towers, but I'm sure Crumbs can remember the Nasus game. It's always a lot of fun to do that.
Hey man, yeah, some dude tweeted at me. It's like, hey, you remember when Darshan did this? It was really fun. I got a question for you because your cheese for Gangplank was the same cheese that Alfari did in the finals against Cloud9 in the lock-in tournament. What is the answer to it? What should have the Kennen done when you're playing Gangplank and trying to do that? What is the way? Because it seems like it's just an instant win if you get it off.
Yeah, I think he has to respect the brush. I think it's something that more players will start doing. I mean, I think a lot of top laners do this in solo queue already, right? If they're stronger, they wait in the brush. Yeah. It's a pretty classic cheese. And I mean, I guess I don't even really call it a cheese because it's kind of like just a better position to be in, right? You want to be in the best position that you can be in the lane at each second. So I think as players play more against it, they'll have experience and they'll play around it better. I think he just committed too far in the lane.
Come in through the river maybe and just hope that the river is not where the Gangplank is lying in wait.
Yeah, that's an option.
It's an interesting level 1 strategy for sure. You were saying you got to always be in the best position for your strength in the game, and a lot of this game you spent down in the bottom lane or in the side lanes. I want to ask you, what was the communication like when Golden Guardians time and time again were going back towards that Baron and you stayed in the bottom lane? You kind of held your nerves on the teleport and you said, you know what, guys, I'm going to keep taking these inhibitors. I'm going to keep pressuring their base. What was going through your guys' communication? How were you guys like approaching these Baron fights?
Great question. I think a lot of teams are actually not that great at split pushing, and it's because of just what you just said. I think a lot of the top laners feel pressure to teleport to the fight, but you have to keep a calm mind and assess the situation. We're not a team fighting comp strictly. They kind of have Seraphine Hecarim, and their Kennen was down 3 levels. So as long as we can pressure the side lanes, and I have a global, we can actually put a lot more pressure if I'm staying in the side lane. And I only want to teleport in specific situations, so I'm just able to keep a cool head and do the right thing in the situation and focus on the strength of our comp.
All right, now I got a little question for you, a little more personal. What's been going on with you moving into the Cloud9 house? Yeah, because you hadn't been living in a gaming house before this season, I believe, and now you're joining with the team. Is the dynamic with a 5-man group helping you more than what you had before? Is it different? Like, you've seen both sides of the coin now. Is there one that, like, what are the pros and cons here?
Yeah, so I think I lived in an office, or I lived in my own apartment for I think about 3 years. And I've been playing League professionally for about 9 years. And I think like 2 years ago when I started playing in Academy, there was I started with this quote that like insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. And so I kind of lived by change. I wanted to change as much about my environment, myself, and the way I viewed things as I could to see how I could get better and become the best that I could be. And so I had lived in an apartment for 3 years, and I decided that, hey, I had a lot of fond memories of being in a gaming house, and I want to be more dedicated to the game. So I want to move back into a gaming house, and I've been enjoying it a lot so far. I think you can't really quantify it, but there's something so great about being able to spend more time with your teammates and get to know them better. And even just being around the LCS team and doing the morning workouts. I think Cloud9 has a great environment, and I'm really grateful to Jack and all the managers and coaches and all the players who make it a great place to be.
Nice.
Heartwarming sentiment for sure. And hopefully with a little bit of change, Darshan, we'll get to see you back in the LCS. You said you've been a pro for 9 years and already showing so much dominance in the top lane here in Academy. Thank you so much for joining us on this interview today, and congratulations once again on your win.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we're halfway through the day as we wrap up that game between Cloud9 and EG. Coming up next, we do have TSM Academy versus FlyQuest, and I'm that Team Liquid versus Immortals game as well. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to throw it over to one more break here as we get set up for this 4th game. Do not go anywhere because we'll be back in just a few minutes with the 4th game of week 3, day 1 of LCS Academy.